When you reach 70, people assume you need help with everything, especially money. But I believe independence is something you earn, and you protect it by the choices you make every day. I have seen good people lose control of their finances and slowly become dependent on their children, not because they failed, but because no one taught them better habits. In this video, I want to share 10 money habits that have helped me stay independent. These are not just financial tips. They are ways of thinking, acting, and living that allow you to stand tall, live freely, and remain in charge of your own life. 1. Automate your essentials. One of the smartest things I ever did for my financial peace of mind was to set my essential bills on automatic payment. It may sound like a small step, but for someone like me, now in my 70s, it changed everything. I no longer worry about whether I paid the electric bill on time or if I mailed the check for my health insurance. Those days are gone. Now, every month, my basic bills get paid on schedule without me needing to remember or chase deadlines. I used to handle all of my payments manually. I kept a calendar, I wrote checks, and I walked them to the mailbox. It gave me a sense of control, but as time passed, I started missing a payment here and there, not out of carelessness, just because life got busy or I got distracted. I once forgot to pay my water bill and received a late fee that could have been avoided. Another time, my phone service was briefly cut off because I misread the due date. That is when I realized that relying on memory was no longer reliable. I needed systems, not just habits. My son David helped me get started. He sat down with me one weekend and we went through each of my monthly bills, utilities, prescription refills, insurance, internet, and set them up to be paid automatically from my checking account. We used my bank's website, which made the process simple. It took about an hour. After that, everything ran smoother. Now I know that my essentials are covered. I do not have to stress about missing a deadline. I do not have to worry about late fees piling up. And most importantly, I do not need to ask my children to help me sort through missed bills or reconnect a service. That alone helps me feel like I am standing on my own 2 feet. Automating your financial essentials does not mean you are giving up control. In fact, it gives you more control. It frees your mind to focus on the things that matter most. I still review my statements every month just to keep track, but the pressure is gone. And let me tell you, peace of mind is worth a lot more than a stack of paper bills on the kitchen counter. If you have not set your bills to automatic payment yet, consider it. Ask someone you trust to help you set it up. It is a one-time effort that gives you long-term freedom. And that, my friend, is one step closer to real independence. 2. Practice the 1 in, 1 out rule. As I got older, I began to realize that the way I spent money had to change, not because I was in trouble, but because I was entering a new chapter of life, one that required more balance, more intention, and less waste. That is when I discovered something simple but powerful. I call it the 1 in, 1 out rule. For every dollar that goes out, I ask myself, what is coming in? For every new item I bring into my home, I decide what needs to go. It is not just about stuff. It is about mindset. Years ago, I used to spend without thinking. A new pair of shoes on sale? I bought them, even if I already had 3. A new kitchen gadget? Into the drawer it went. Over time, my home filled up, but my wallet thinned out. Worse, I started losing track of what I owned, what I needed, and what I was just storing out of habit. The 1 in, 1 out rule changed that. Now, when I am tempted to buy something, whether it is a new coat, a tool, or even a subscription, I pause. I ask, do I really need this? What will I give up to make room for it, financially or physically? If I cannot name something to let go of, I do not buy it. That is the rule. It works beautifully for budgeting too. If I plan to spend $75 eating out this month, I make sure I adjust my grocery budget or entertainment costs to cover it. Nothing extra comes in, unless something goes out. That keeps me from slowly sliding into debt or depending on others to make ends meet. This rule is not strict or punishing. It is just intentional. It reminds me that space, money, and energy are all limited, and I get to choose how I use them. I have found that by sticking to this habit, I spend less, appreciate more, and feel far more in control. So if you are feeling a little overwhelmed by your finances, your home, or your habits, try the 1 in, 1 out rule. It is simple, it is flexible, and it keeps you grounded. And the best part is, it helps you stay independent, not just from your children, but from the clutter and pressure that comes with having too much and tracking too little. 3. Learn to say no gently. Even to family. One of the hardest lessons I have learned in life is this. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can say is no, especially to family. When it comes to money, love can get complicated. You want to help your children, your grandchildren, and you want to say yes when they ask. But if you are not careful, you can give so much that you start to lose your own footing. I remember the first time I had to say no to one of my children. My daughter was facing a financial setback and asked if I could help with a down payment. My heart wanted to say yes immediately. But when I looked at my savings, I realized that giving her that money would leave me vulnerable. I would have had to dip into the fund I rely on for medical expenses or emergencies. It would have put me in a position where I might later need to ask her for help. I sat with that decision for days. It felt selfish to say no. But then I realized that protecting my independence was not selfish. It was responsible. I talked to her honestly. I told her I loved her, that I was proud of her, and that I could not give her that amount without risking my own well-being. Instead, I offered to help her make a budget or look into options she had not considered. She understood. It was not easy, but it was honest. And that honesty strengthened our relationship, not weakened it. Saying no with love is different from shutting people out. It means being clear about your boundaries while still showing care. It means knowing your limits and communicating them gently. I now have a simple phrase I use. I wish I could do more, but I have to take care of my own stability too. It is respectful, truthful, and it keeps me in a place of dignity. If you are afraid of letting your family down, remember this. They would rather have you financially secure than temporarily generous and later dependent. Your children may not say it, but your independence is a gift to them too. It gives them peace of mind, knowing you are standing strong. Do not be afraid to protect your future. Love them deeply, but manage your money wisely. A gentle no today can save you from a painful please help me tomorrow. 4. Build a quiet cash envelope. There is a drawer in my desk that most people do not know about. Inside it, I keep a small envelope with cash. I call it my quiet cash. It is not for groceries or gifts. It is not for travel or fun. It is for those unexpected, often private moments when I need to handle something quietly on my own, without calling anyone or tapping into my savings. The idea came to me after a situation a few years ago. My old car needed a minor repair. Nothing serious, but it needed to be done quickly. I did not want to use my credit card, and I did not want to call my son for help. So I went to the bank, withdrew money, and paid for it. Afterward, I thought, what if I always had something set aside just for moments like this? Since then, I have added to that envelope every month. Sometimes it is $10, sometimes $50. I do not touch it unless I truly need it. It is my safety net, my little pocket of independence. I have used it to fix a broken pair of glasses, to pay a neighbor's kid for mowing my lawn, to cover a prescription that was not fully included in my insurance plan. None of these things were emergencies, but they were important, and handling them without asking for help felt good. It felt right. Quiet cash is not about hiding money. It is about preparing for moments where independence matters most. It is for times when you want to solve a problem quietly, respectfully, without burdening anyone else. And let me tell you, having that kind of resource builds confidence. It reminds you that even as the years go by, you can still take care of yourself in small but meaningful ways. If you do not already have something like this, I recommend starting one. It does not have to be a lot, just a small amount you set aside regularly. And forget about until you need it. Label it if you want. Hide it if you need to. But keep it for you. Because sometimes, freedom is not about the big things. It is about opening a drawer, pulling out a few quiet bills, and knowing you can still handle life on your own terms. 5. Choose housing. You can afford forever. I used to think I would live in the same house for the rest of my life. It was the home where I raised my children, celebrated birthdays, and watched the seasons change from the same front porch year after year. It held memories in every corner, and I was proud of what the home represented. But as the years went by, something changed. The house did not feel like comfort anymore. It started to feel like a burden. The roof needed work. The heating system was outdated. The stairs became harder to climb. And the rooms I once used every day now sat empty. Most of all, the bills kept growing. Taxes, utilities, maintenance. I realized that I was holding on to a home I could no longer comfortably afford, just because of the past it held. After a long period of reflection, I made a decision that many people avoid. I downsized. I moved into a smaller, more manageable home that fits the life I have now, not the life I had 20 years ago. It was not easy. I cried when I left the old place. But now I look around my new home, and I see peace. It is warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and everything I need is within reach. Most importantly, it is affordable, today, tomorrow, and 10 years from now. I do not lie awake at night, worrying about a surprise repair or wondering if I can keep up with the property taxes. My monthly costs are predictable, and they match my retirement income. That financial balance gives me something more valuable than square footage. It gives me independence. If you are living in a home that feels too big, too costly, or too much for you to manage, I encourage you to think about what really matters. A home should serve you, not the other way around. It should support your health, your finances, and your freedom, not drain them. Choosing housing you can afford forever is not about giving up. It is about moving forward. We get to define what home means to us at every stage of life, and sometimes, letting go of the past opens the door to a lighter, more peaceful future. 6. Use prepaid gift cards for controlled generosity. I love giving, always have. Giving has been part of who I am, whether it was buying my grandkids a little treat, helping one of my children when they needed it, or donating to a local cause. But as I got older and retired, I started to realize that giving without limits could leave me stretched thin. I once gave more than I could truly afford, not because I was trying to impress anyone, but because I wanted to be generous without disappointing anyone. That is when I discovered a small but powerful tool: prepaid gift cards. I started using them as a way to still give, but within healthy boundaries. Every month, I load a small amount onto a gift card, $50 for gifts, $25 for holiday surprises, or a set amount for a family member's birthday. When the money on the card runs out, that is it for the month. No guilt, no overspending, no dipping into the emergency fund. This small habit allows me to plan my giving the same way I plan my grocery budget or my bills. It gives me structure without taking away the joy of being generous. I still buy gifts for my grandkids. I still support causes I care about. But I do it in a way that keeps me independent. I no longer worry that my kindness today will create stress for me next month. Another bonus is that prepaid gift cards help separate emotions from decisions. When you are handing out money directly, especially to family, it can be hard to say no. But when you hand them a gift card with a smile, it feels like a warm gesture, not a financial negotiation. Everyone understands that it has a clear limit. and that makes the exchange feel simpler, lighter, and more joyful. If you love giving, but want to protect your finances, give this a try. Use a prepaid card. Decide the amount ahead of time. Stick to it. You will still be the generous, caring person you have always been, but with the added peace of knowing you are giving from a place of strength, not sacrifice. 7. Set a personal salary. One of the habits that changed the way I live in retirement is something I call paying myself a salary. Now, I know that sounds funny. I am no longer working, no boss, no office, no paycheck every 2 weeks. But I realized that just because I am retired does not mean I cannot bring structure to how I use my money. And structure, as it turns out, is a great friend of independence. When I first started living off my retirement savings and Social Security, I made the mistake of treating it like a big pool of money. It was all there, and I would just pull from it whenever I needed something. But that approach quickly led to confusion. I would forget what I had spent, feel unsure about how much I could use safely, and sometimes come close to spending more than I should. So I decided to do what I used to do when I was working. I gave myself a salary. Every month, I transfer a set amount from my main retirement account into a checking account. That becomes my personal spending money for the month. I use it for groceries, gas, hobbies, entertainment, and all the little things that make life enjoyable. When it runs low, I know it is time to pause, adjust, and wait for the next payday. This habit helped me in many ways. It reduced my stress. It gave me a rhythm. And it helped me avoid having to ask my children for help because I overspent or forgot to plan. It also gives me a better picture of my real lifestyle. I can see, month by month, if I am living within my means. And if not, I can make changes without panic. You do not have to be a financial expert to try this. Pick a reasonable amount you know you can afford each month. Keep the rest tucked away in a savings account or investment account that you do not touch unless needed. Create a clear line between your spending money and your security money. It helps you treat your retirement income with the same respect you gave your working income. Freedom comes from structure, not from chaos. A personal salary gives you freedom. Freedom from worry, from dependence, and from surprises. You may be retired, but that does not mean you stop taking care of your money like a professional. 8. Avoid co-signing or guaranteeing loans. I will never forget the day a friend of mine lost nearly all of his retirement savings because he co-signed a loan for someone he loved. It was not because he was foolish. It was because he had a kind heart and wanted to help. His grandson needed a car loan. The bank would not approve it unless someone co-signed. My friend said yes, thinking he was just lending his name. But when the payments stopped coming, the bank came after him. He ended up paying thousands of dollars he could not afford, and it took him years to recover. That story stayed with me, and it reminded me of something important. When you co-sign a loan, you are not just helping. You are promising. Legally, you are just as responsible for that debt as the person who borrowed it. If they miss a payment, your credit takes the hit. If they default, the lender will come to you. As much as we love our children and grandchildren, we have to be careful. I have had family members ask me to co-sign for loans, car loans, student loans, even a small business loan. And I have had to say no. Not because I did not trust them, but because I did not want to put my future, my independence, or my peace of mind at risk. There are other ways to help. You can offer guidance, connect them to resources, or help them build their own credit slowly and responsibly. But putting your name on someone else's financial obligation is a serious step, and one that should only be taken if you can afford to pay the entire amount yourself. For most of us in retirement, that is not realistic. Independence means having the freedom to make your own choices. If you lose that freedom because of someone else's choices, the cost is more than just financial. It can lead to stress, regret, and even strain within the family. Protect your peace. Protect your future. And remember that sometimes the most loving answer is a respectful, "I can't do that." have a Just Me account. One of the most important things I have ever done for my peace of mind is to create what I call my Just Me account. It is a bank account that belongs only to me. My name is the only one on it. No co-signers, no shared access, no automatic family withdrawals. Just me. This account is not for everyday spending, and it is not for emergencies either. It is a private space, a financial corner of my life that reminds me I am still my own person. I started this account after I realized that too many of my financial decisions were being made in group conversations. My children meant well. They wanted to help me stay organized. They offered to manage my accounts, consolidate things, even suggested putting their names on certain accounts just in case. And I understood their concern, but little by little I began to feel like I was losing control, not because they were doing anything wrong, but because I no longer had something that was truly mine. So I opened a separate account with a small deposit. I told no one at first. I used it to save for personal goals, a weekend trip to the coast, a birthday gift for a friend, a class at the local senior center. These were not big things, but they were mine, and being able to pay for them without asking, explaining, or checking in with anyone gave me a quiet kind of strength. This account also gave me a place to grow my confidence again. In a world that sometimes treats older adults as helpless or confused, it is powerful to know that I can still manage something on my own. That sense of personal dignity is worth more than any dollar amount. Now, I am not saying you should hide things from your family. Open communication is important, especially when it comes to wills, insurance, and major finances. But having one account that is yours alone can make a world of difference in how you see yourself and how others see you. It does not have to hold a lot. Even a few $100s tucked away for your personal use can be enough to remind you that you are still independent, still active, still in charge. Because while family is precious, your sense of self is priceless. And sometimes, having your own financial space is the most respectful thing you can do for both. 10. Review, don't hide, talk before trouble comes. For a long time, I kept quiet about my finances. Not because I had anything to hide, but because I thought silence was a form of strength. I believed that managing money on my own was part of being a responsible adult. I did not want to worry my kids. I did not want to seem weak. But I learned, sometimes the hard way, that staying completely silent can cause more harm than good, especially when things go wrong. One year, I let my medical bills stack up without telling anyone. I thought I would catch up eventually. I did not want to ask for help or admit I was struggling to understand the new billing system. By the time I opened up to my daughter, the situation had become complicated. She was understanding, of course, but she also wished I had spoken up sooner. That experience taught me a better approach. Review. Do not hide. Every few months, I take time to go through my accounts, bills, and important documents. I make notes. I check expiration dates, and then, this is the key, I share what matters. Not everything, just the important parts. I call my son or daughter and say, here is where my accounts are. Here is my will. Here is my insurance. I am not in trouble. I just want you to know in case the day comes when I cannot explain it myself. This gives them peace of mind, and it gives me confidence. We are not hiding anything. We are preparing together. Talking before trouble comes is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is saying, I love you enough to not leave you guessing. And it is also a way to protect your independence. Because when your family knows where things stand, they do not need to step in, take over, or worry behind your back. You do not have to give up your privacy to stay connected. A short conversation, a written list, even a folder with labeled documents can make all the difference. The goal is not to transfer control. It is to build trust. And trust is what lets you age with dignity, not secrecy. So do not wait until you are in a crisis to share. Review your situation often. Keep it simple, keep it clear, and keep the lines of communication open. That is how you stay strong, on your own terms, and in good company.